Liz, thank you so much for joining me at Sports Beach for the 2024 Cannes Lion. I'm really excited to be here today with you, so thank you for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me.
I'm Lance Wolder from PadSquad.
I'm Liz Caselli-Mechael from Nestlé.
And Liz, this week we've just begun, but there's been a lot of talk here on Sports Beach and across the Crescent around how brands, sports, culture are really coming together. And so I want to understand better from you how culture has influenced the marketing that you're doing at Nestle.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that my team thinks about a lot, how to do that authentically. And for us, it's important to be audience first, but not audience only. We try not to follow the trend or the hot topic without any context. So we try to start from what does Nestle really represent? What are we experts at? What's true to us? And then find the connective piece to the topic of the day and to what's important to the audience so that we're showing up with some credibility and something to add to the conversation.
No, that makes a lot of sense. The other thing that's really been prominent this year, and much like last year, is AI. So rather than ask you specifically about AI, I want to understand what role does technology play in your overall creative content strategy or processes?
Yeah, I think a big part of how we look at technology comes from the fact that my team is totally focused on driving trust and driving reputation. And so that means we're really intentional to have humans connecting with humans in our content. So technology is really about how do we speed up the process? How do we make the process work really well? Speed up alignment, be able to validate content. But at the end of the day, it's really about how are we using that tech as a way of connecting person to person and not losing that reality, that human touch, when it comes to the content that actually is delivering to audience versus a storyboard or something that's happening on the back end.
Yeah, the human pieces is something we talk a lot about at PadSquad because, at least from our view, AI as an example is really just technology that's being used to augment our intelligence, not replace it. And so that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I'd love my creatives to spend less time preparing something for a room of 6 people and more time preparing something that's really for the audience.
The final product.
Yeah.
Totally. So when you're looking at these improvements in processes or new technology, when you're going to evaluate things, figure out what you want to invest in and how you're going to spend time as a team, what are some of the key things that you're looking at before you're making those decisions?
Yeah, the first thing for us is goal clarity. So we come back to our true north. We're trying to drive favorability. Is this something that drives favorability? Because if not, and if that's not something we can prove, then it probably starts to veer towards a vanity metric for us. So really, we keep coming back to the true north. Is it going to drive our goal, not just any positive or any positive performance, but is it really driving our goal? And then we look at that in the context of, are we doing that effectively, efficiently? Are we doing it for the right audience in the place that feels right to them for the type of content and message that it is? So being able to kind of right size and right scope how we're showing up, whether they're kind of in a detailed place, they're diving into a topic versus we're getting a second of their attention. We can do it in a second, but we need to design with that in mind as opposed to always trying to wish that we had more.
Yeah, totally. That notion that there's a balance. You have to strike a balance. Is there anything right now technology-wise that you're like really excited about that you're leaning into? A little bit of a curveball.
Yeah, it's back of house, let's say, but something that I'm really hopeful for, when you think about a company like Nestle, one of the big factors in how we work and how I think about being in a global role is that you're not there to be the one voice or the one content source for Nestle. There are folks telling that story locally, in our case, almost every country around the world. And so a lot of how do we make this better and better for the audience comes from how do we empower those local folks that are connecting with their audience in a deeply relevant and applicable way for them. So some of the things that I'm excited about on the technology side are really about better tools and coaching for them. So when we think about something like AI, I'm a little bit less focused on how does AI show up for an end user and more focused on how does AI help our own team members better navigate things like brand voice or messages or what kind of content and stories they can tap into, and figure out that kind of internal knowledge management piece so that we're helping them do their jobs better and put more of their time and attention on telling truly local stories and connecting with their local audience.
Oh, I love that so much because as a tool, that training component can be so hard for managing teams, and on the global level even more so. Like, speaking of teams, is there like a specific strategy you're using or approach that you can go into a little bit more deeply around how you're inspiring creativity and encouraging innovation within your teams?
Yeah, and it's not always easy. I think certainly corporate environments talk and think a lot about risk, but we always try to be willing to try something that you might have to kill and not be afraid to kill it if you have to. And so we've had a couple examples like that recently where we really kind of stretched our bounds of trying to tap into a cultural format. And we found it really, maybe after some experimentation, wasn't authentic to us and maybe was landing a little cringe. And we said, you know what, it was worth it to try it, to learn it, to find out our right guardrails and then kill it. And that still moves us forward. So that's something we have to experiment to find the right line that's going to really work for the brand, the voice, and the audience. But without the experimentation, we'd never progress. So we tried to be willing to try some things we can kill. Hopefully not like a large portion of what we spend the time on, but to always have a little time trying something that we don't 100% know we can get over the line, but we'll learn something along the way.
Oh, amazing. My last question is important to PadSquad. It's important to us because we strive to make digital creative remarkable. So I wonder what the word remarkable means to you.
I think my first reaction is that it's something that makes you feel. It's something that you're exposed to in the marketing and advertising world where it makes you feel. But then I think after that, it's a feeling that sticks with you about that brand or company that you really carry forward and that you hearken back to when you hear something new about them or there's a new product or launch or whatever the case might be, because you go to that feeling and having felt like connected to what that team is doing, feeling like there are real people on the other side. So to me, that's when I have a really remarkable reaction to something I see in marketing and advertising.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much for your time today, Liz. I really appreciate you joining me here on Sport Beach.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to hear from everybody about what remarkable looks like to them.
Thanks.